What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel, where for today's video we're going to be checking out the Transformers Reactivate Deluxe class Bumblebee, based on the upcoming video game produced by Splash Damage. And out of all of the Transformers we've so far seen for this upcoming game, I think Bumblebee by far is one of the best looking Transformers. This is a great post-apocalyptic take on the character, and I really like how some of those off-road components from his vehicle form to become additional armaments for the robot mode. That was one of my biggest issues with the Rise of the Beast Bumblebee design, so as we check out the details, the face sculpt is looking awesome. Basically an update to how he originally appeared in the 80s series, although way more realistic. I think I mentioned this in the Soundwave review, but these would be great live action movie designs for some of the original G1 Transformers. Check out the Autobot logo sculpted into the top part of the chest, and the design here is just so incredibly sick. The ball bar wrapping around the shoulders and the front part is just so awesome. I also love these mechanized panels that you can see surrounding the arms, and the leg design is wicked. All of the wheels pretty much end up in one place, and one thing which is great about this Bumblebee is that not only is he pretty decently sized for a deluxe class, but as we check him out from the back, to be fair, there aren't too many hollow spaces at all. Now I know you can see some here for the back part of the arm, but this is due to some additional weapon storage, which I will get into in just a bit. He even comes packed with a pair of boosters, which are a direct carryover from his vehicle mode. And one thing which I have noticed with this second Reactivate 2-pack is that both Bumblebee and Starscream appear to have these almost battle damage components. So there's a bit of asymmetry going on here with the shins, and you can definitely see that as you check out these Michael Bay inspired door wings. So it does lead me to believe that at some point during the game, both Bumblebee and Starscream may become damaged and will require additional parts in order to be patched up. But this is a Bumblebee which is battling it out on a post-apocalyptic Earth, so let's check out what firepower he is packing. And it's nothing heavy duty, he basically just includes a pair of tiny SMGs, although these have been very nicely sculpted and detailed. And their integration into the robot mode design itself is actually kind of awesome. So in addition to being able to be held, they can be used as actual shoulder blasters, which I thought was awesome. Kind of a great throwback to how he originally looked in some of those Michael Bay movies. And then the final and possibly best form of integration is how they can be stored in the back of Bumblebee's forearms. Now I imagine this is something that maybe we'll see play out in the game itself. Perhaps these will flip from underneath his arms and he'll be able to use them as actual pistols. And if so, that is going to be awesome, because that is a really unique way for Bumblebee to store his weaponry. It does just suck that Transformers Reactivate is delayed. We've got an announcement very recently that stated we're not going to be seeing any new updates until the new year. I am hoping that at least by this time next year we have a good idea of when the game is going to be released, or if anything, maybe have it in our hands. I guess only time will tell. Now, as we check out Bumblebee's articulation, this guy really does throw me back to some of the older 2010 deluxes. He's a great size, very nicely painted, but the articulation is definitely dated, especially when compared to some of the more recent Transformers Reactivate figures. So it does make me wonder just exactly when originally this guy was designed and was supposed to release. But as we check it out, up first, the head has a great ball joint. I mean, that range of motion for a Bumblebee is simply fantastic. It will then also look left to right. The shoulders are on hinge joints, so they'll go forwards, they'll go backwards, they'll then hinge out to the side. The elbow joint also doubles as the bicep swivel, so you get roughly 90 out of that. Unfortunately, no wrist swivel. I put that down to the weapon integration. Whilst it's awesome, it definitely does come with a sacrifice, and unfortunately there is no waist joint on this guy at all, which I think sucks, because the design is so incredibly badass that it's super limiting in terms of the poses that you can get him into. But it is due to the transformation. There are so many multi-layered hinge joints crammed inside this guy, which you will see in just a bit. The hips are on ball joints, so these will kick forwards, they will kick back to that far, as well as out to the sides. There's a thigh swivel, a knee bend, and then finally the ankles. In addition to rocking both forwards and backwards and hinging out to the side, they can also rotate all the way around. So he definitely has some good points, but also some bad points. But to see what he is truly capable of, now let's put him through the pose test. Now, going through a few robot mode comparisons, on the right hand side we have the original 2010 War for Cybertron Deluxe Class Bumblebee. Now, I never ever thought that here in 2023 we would see a brand new Deluxe Bumblebee which was pretty much exactly the same size as this older release, and as you guys saw previously, he's not all that hollow either. So when it comes to parts count and scale, Hasbro definitely didn't skimp out, and it really does go to show that they can still make deluxe figures which are at this scale and still at pretty much the same level of quality. So I am really hoping that going forwards we can see more deluxe figures which are as big as this guy and are as well made. Next up we have the Studio Series Gamer Edition Bumblebee, which whilst despite him definitely being one of the better updates from his subline, I still think Reactivate absolutely is destroying this Gamer Edition subline. Next up we have the Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, and like I mentioned previously, I think it is so insanely cool how this Bumblebee takes some of those off-road components and uses them as actual armaments for his robot form. To me, it makes no sense at all that this Bumblebee has a bull bar and a roll cage in vehicle mode, yet none of those armaments are seen when it comes to robot mode. I just think that was such a massive missed opportunity. And then rounding it off for Bumblebee comparisons, here we have the 2020 Deluxe Class Earthrise Bumblebee. Both of these are modern deluxe classes, and you guys can just see the differences in their scale. Here he is, stacked up alongside the Reactivate Soundwave, both of these being by far some of the largest deluxe figures that we've seen in recent years. And then finally, here we have Reactivate Optimus Prime, and both of these redesigns are looking crazy awesome alongside each other. As I said, I'm hoping this Reactivate subline continues, as these two are absolute bangers. Now, as we check out Bumblebee's transformation, it is a crazy ride. So for the first step, you are going to want to make sure that you pack those pistols into the back of the arms. I find this to make a later step just a tiny bit easier. Then what you will do is come to the elbows, rotate these inwards, and then bend. Then we can take the shoulder pad, collapse this down, and lift that shoulder outwards just like that. Do the same here for this side, so rotate inwards, bend, collapse that shoulder pad down, and then hinge up. Then what you will do is take a hold of this bumper, detach it, slide it down on this double hinge joint, and then separate the chest away from the torso. So just lift this up like that. It should then free that tab up away from that slot. Then what you will do is take this chest and disengage it and pull it forwards just like that, just slightly. Then we can take the head, pull this section here forwards, and now is where you are definitely going to want to take your finger and slide it inside to pop out the windshield. Now on my copy, I've definitely found there to not be too much clearance, so I have encountered a bit of paint scuffing, which definitely does suck, so make sure you watch out for that. Then we can take this piece, slide this forwards, and completely extend the windshield up like that. Then you're going to want to take this tab and slide it there into that slot. With that now done, we can use these hinge joints, slide this up, really just to give ourselves some extra room. Take this chest, bring it down. Now these little slots are going to slide into those yellow tabs, so snap that there into place. Then you will take the windshield and you will slide this all the way down until the engine piece does snap into the hood. Then we can combine the front part with the back part, so just snap that there into place. Then what I like to do is come down now to the feet and the legs. So take these outer wheels, detach those, and then extend these joints here outwards. Do the exact same here for this side, so extend those outwards. We can then spin around here to the back, take these wheels and detach those, fold them outwards until they snap into place. Do the exact same here for this side, and then what you will do is rotate at these ball jointed feet all of the way around and then slide the feet up like that. So do the same here for this side. Rotate the feet around, slide those upwards. Then you will spin around here to the front. Make sure that you take the shin guards because these are surprisingly separate pieces, and sit them flush against the shins, just like that. Now this next step can be kind of tricky because we're going to take this entire skirt piece, fold this inside, and then at the very same time begin hinging these ball joints here backwards. So start off first of all with it looking like this, then we can slide it all of the way inside. That should then hopefully expose this tab, which the rear spoiler will snap into. Then what we can do is utilize the hips and the knee joints to begin compressing this here up. Now this tiny little tab is going to lock there into place. Make sure that the feet do, for the most part, stay straightened. They should look roughly like that. Do the same here for this side, so use those hips and those knees, and then just snap this section here into place. Then we can now flip to the underside. So at the moment, everything should be looking like this. Now we're going to take these hinge joints and these shoulders, fold them inside, just like that, and do the exact same here for this side. So fold this inside. Now comes by far the most challenging part about the transformation. So you are going to want to take these doors. There is this tiny little tab, which first of all has to slide underneath this window. So what you will do here is just push that underneath like that, and then line the rear part of the door up with this back fender, so it will snap into place. Do the same here for this side, so slightly flex that tab underneath the window, and then what you will do is snap the back of the door into this rear fender. Now this next step I think is super tricky, because these tabs here have to line up perfectly with this tiny little slot. So bring that around. This is where I do like to use the pistols, really and truly, just to line everything up. So snap that in there, and then snap the headlight into place. Spin around here to this side, and hopefully it goes just as smoothly as the opposite side. So just snap that section there into place, snap the headlight into place, and then for a finishing touch, take this bumper, compress it, and bang! Here we have Reactivate Bumblebee fully transformed into his armoured off-road dune buggy mode. Now the transformation for a deluxe class I thought was straight up crazy. These Reactivate figures really do seem to be built differently when compared to some of the regular mainline generation stuff. So in some ways I am hoping whoever is designing these can make the jump over to Studio Series and Legacy, because the conversion really did throw me back to some of the older 2009 days. But damn! This post-apocalyptic vibe that Bumblebee has going for him is looking so insanely sick. Check out the shocks, which are detailed into every single one of his wheels, and this armorized look is just looking brutal. We get an armored bumper, a fully armorized windshield, and this gunmetal roll cage which wraps around every single one of Bee's windows. He is also packing 6 thrusters at the back with the Autobot logo fully sculpted and decked out in paint. Every single one of the wheels has no issues in rolling out into the battlefield, and one thing which I think is going to be really cool in the video game is that, judging by the most recent teaser trailer, these Transformers are also going to be fully weaponizable even in their vehicle modes. So let's see what Bee is packing. And up front, you can smack on those dual SMGs, which I think are looking so insanely awesome. As I mentioned in the Soundwave review, I am just as excited to play as the Transformers in their vehicle modes as I am in their robot modes, as they look to be absolute units. Now, as we check out some vehicle mode comparisons, on the right hand side we have the original 2010 War for Cybertron Deluxe Bumblebee. Now, for the longest time, this has been my favourite game design for the character, but this Reactivate Bumblebee is very quickly dethroning him. I absolutely love this militant look that most of these Reactivate Transformers have. I really just cannot wait to see their designs in some proper action. Here is how he sizes up alongside the Studio Series War for Cybertron Bumblebee. This is a better figure in about every single way, with the exception of the lack of a waist joint. Here is how he sizes up alongside the Rise of the Beast Bumblebee. Next up, we are throwing it all the way back to G1, as we have the 2020 Earthrise Volkswagen Beetle. And then for 2 more comparisons, we have the Reactivate Soundwave. And then finally, Voyager class Optimus Prime. These Autobots in particular are just looking crazy awesome. Again, cannot wait for an actual update in regards to how these are going to look when it comes to some gameplay. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Reactivate Deluxe Class Bumblebee. The articulation is a little dated, and I would have loved to have seen at least a waist swivel, but due to how he transforms and how many complex multi-layered hinge joints are packed inside, I just think that was impossible, and I am kind of glad that at the end of the day, they did focus accuracy over playability. The accessories are small, but they are super cool, and they look badass once attached onto the front end of that armoured off-road dune buggy. This is a great post-apocalyptic reimagining of Bumblebee, and I really now just cannot wait to see how these characters are actually going to look in the game itself. So Bumblebee definitely gets the thumbs up from me. Cannot wait now to check out Starscream. I would love to get your thoughts on this figure down in the comment section below. What do you guys think? I want to thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!